My name is Stacy Bartel, President of O.B.S. Financial. We're located in Oakbank, Manitoba, and on today's edition of Students and Taxes, we're going to be discussing scholarships, bursaries, awards, and grants. Scholarships, bursaries, awards, and grants are money that students can receive to help pay towards school. There's grants can be treated either as a scholarship or bursary, or it may be research grants or fellowship money, and they're treated a little bit differently for tax purposes, so we're going to discuss both of those. First of all, let's talk about your normal scholarships, bursaries, awards. These are the ones that are reported in box 105 on the student's T4A at the end of the year. If a student receives a scholarship, a bursary, or an award, or a grant, they're normally given to the students to assist them in proceeding towards a degree, diploma, or other certificate of education. They can include amounts to defray living expenses, as well as help them directly pay for the cost of education, textbooks, student fees. However, the extent to what the student uses the money for doesn't affect whether it's what the taxation classification is. Scholarships and bursaries are funds given to the students more or less to be used at their discretion, but it is intended for the help of education. Scholarships and bursaries may apply to any field of study, including an academic discipline such as the arts and sciences, a professional program, law, medicine, trades, plumbing, carpentry, electricians, or even skills such as first aid, truck driving, whatever the case may be. Normally, a student is not expected to work for the person who pays that money out in exchange for the scholarship or bursary. So normally they're awarded based off of what the student has done, what they've been able to accomplish, what their application has shown. But there's normally no strings attached to go back and work for the person who paid you for it. When students receive these types of incomes, there's special tax treatment. For all scholarships, bursaries, grants, and awards, the first $500 is exempt from tax for everybody. Anything over the amount of $500 will be exempt based off of your student status. So if you're a qualified full-time student, this year, the previous year, or even the next year with full-time credits, the amount would be fully tax exempt. If you were qualifying as a part-time student in the same time frame, the scholarship exemption is equal to the amount of tuition paid and direct costs of the program or program-related materials, or $500, whichever is greater. So in other words, if you get a $1,000 grant and your tuition is $200 and it's another $100 for textbooks, stuff like that, then your total cost related to the tuition would be $300, or related to the grant would be $300. Therefore, you'd be able to claim the $500 exemption that everybody gets. If that cost exceeded the $500, you need to keep your receipts on that, and then you'd be able to claim, $800 or $900 depending on what the value was of it. Also, when it comes to grants, scholarships, bursaries, and awards, we have to be careful if there's a non-arm's length or if you're receiving the funds as an employee-employer agreement. If you're receiving it from an employer, it may end up being treated to you as a taxable benefit or employment income. So you do have to, there are some special rules around that. Research grants, fellowships, they're a little bit different for taxation purposes. Research grants are when it's normally a university or a hospital or research companies will give you a research grant to come in and do research based on a thesis or something else. When that happens, that money is 100% taxable to you as a research grant. You are able to deduct any expenses, any direct out-of-pocket expenses in relationship to that, providing it's a reasonable expense for the purpose of taxation. So you want to make sure you hang on to that receipts. That can include supplies, rent, wages for assistants, that sort of thing. Other types of money are fellowships. A fellowship generally refers to amount paid for the purpose of advancing a person's education. Fellowship payments can be considered employment income. It can be considered research grants or a combination of both, depending on the circumstances. In any case, the payers would determine how those funds are being paid, and you would receive a T4 or a T4A with the amounts in box 104. So just to give you an idea of how scholarships, grants, and bursaries work, I hope that helps clear some things up. Tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be our last edition, 6th edition of students and their taxes, and we're going to be discussing student loans and what's deductible. Thank you.